Hey guys, welcome back to the Cool Classic Kids Show, and today we are talking about an article that I think is really annoying and really stupid. It completely ignores the true issues of why modern day cinema is on a serious decline in terms of quality and in terms of interest. And this article comes from Far Out, and the title is Listen Up, Method Acting is Ruining Modern Cinema by Callum Russell. Did you hear that Christian Bale gained over 40 pounds for his role in Vice? Or how about the infamous time the crazy Jared Leto allegedly posted used condoms to his co stars in Suicide Squad? The term going method has long defined such bizarre behavior, providing an excuse for male actors in particular to act how they desire on set in pursuit for a deeper artistic truth of performance. For the likes of Daniel Day-Lewis, Christian Bale, and Leonardo DiCaprio, it is not enough to embody a particular character. They must suffer for their craft under a bunch of superfluous rules that serve only to bolster their ego. So, first off, you are talking about Jared Leto. I guess that would mean Jared Leto is method in all of his life because he's this super egotistical, self obsessed human being on or off the set of any film. I mean, just look at look at 30 Seconds to Mars last album that they did. If you're telling me that Jared isn't self-obsessed with how much more of himself he purposely put into that album, literally changing how 30 Seconds to Mars is, dumbing them down as a group more or less, how could you say that an egotistical person in all of life, everything that he does, didn't this dude have an entire fucking island and have a bunch of women pay to like chase him around? Like that shit is fucking weird. I think it's fair to say that Jared Leto is just a weird person in general, and that blaming method acting for Jared Leto's terrible behavior everywhere is foolish. Didn't Jared Leto essentially have a meltdown because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is the most beloved right now? And his Joker got thrown to the side because it fucking sucked. I was saying for the longest time that Jared Leto should play Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because he literally embodies that character minus pretty much getting a cult to do very heinous acts, but he is the type of dude that would love to have this giant cult of women that worship him. I mean, he literally had that with that whole island situation. It is the weirdest shit. Let's just be honest here. Method acting did not make Jared Leto a weirdo. He was just always a pretty talented, self-obsessed, egotistical vegan weirdo. That's just who he is as a person. Now moving on to Christian Bale, it seems like you're attacking Christian Bale for being an actor that is willing to go above and beyond in a space of actors who literally do nothing. They're a bunch of do nothings. Most of them just they're super interchangeable. Nothing about them is even remotely unique in its own way. Christian Bale is one of those actors that is highly respected for good reason, and to attack him because he's willing to do things that no one else is willing to do, you know, being his own choice is pretty ignorant of you. Also, let's not ignore the fact that this male writer is also ignoring women who perform method acting. I think that is worth noting because that's not fair. There are a lot of women that also method act. So he's clearly singling out men here, and I think it's worth mentioning women if you're going to talk about method acting. And just so you know, guys, I'm definitely going to butcher some names here. It is what it is. The so called method originated in New York in the 1930s and 40s by key members of the group theater, including Stanford Meisner, Stella Adler, and Lee Strasberg, who based their thinking on Konstantin Stanislavski's theory of the system. Oh my god, that name, kill me now. Much of the method, the system, was an approach to training actors that focused on the art of experiencing, with an emphasis put on actors transferring their lived experiences to their characters, helping them react more naturally to certain situations. By the way, guys, I briefly looked at this writer's Twitter page, and apparently they're a screenwriter of sorts, which is interesting to me because when you look at method acting, it's still the most effective form of acting there is. That's why constantly it's praised because it does go above and beyond and it is extremely effective. I mean, just watch the scene in On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando where he and Ava Marie Saint, I believe, are walking through like a playground of sorts, and Ava Marie Saint accidentally drops her glove that wasn't put in the script at all. And the scene continues, and Marlon Brando just simply picks up the glove. And this is his love interest, so he's playing around with her glove, and then he puts his hand in it. And obviously, that has a sort of sexual reference, but that was completely unscripted. That was just method acting. He went along with the scene, and it felt so genuine and it was very interesting. And Marlon Brando was a master of method acting, and it really does show in that scene. James Dean, on his free time, would literally just walk into a cafe and just sit there for hours, just staring at people and observing how they act, like how normal people act. And this is something that he would do on his free time because he truly believed that as an actor, it's so important to accurately depict regular people and do so in a way that feels genuine. So he really did take that seriously. Whereas modern day actors, they are more disconnected than ever from regular people, and it does show on the screen. These people don't know how to be regular people, and it is so awkward. And it does extend a disconnect from Hollywood and regular average people, and that is a big reason why Hollywood is falling apart. And those are like the two most innovative actors of their time. Marlon Brando going on to star in so many great films, films that I love and cherish, and James Dean doing only 3 films and being regarded as one of the greatest actors ever. As the system became more popular and actors vowed to find more intricate ways to prove themselves as performers, the method was born thanks to the likes of James Dean, Marlon Brando, and Dustin Hoffman. Though the techniques of these actors were not the ones outlined in Konstantin Stanislavski. Oh my god! Instead, the method had mutated into something the actors saw as a 24/7 commitment to living as their character. They weren't transferring a lived experience, they were emotionally becoming a character to extract through psychological and physical torment. Having long gone hand in hand, the concept of the tormented artist has existed through human history, from the psychosis of Vincent van Gogh to the mental health issues of former Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain, to the extent that some now wrongly romanticize such a tortured existence. I mean, I think it is fair to say that there are a lot of actors and a lot of famous people that do hide a lot of their pain, behind their face. I mean, we go about it throughout daily life. It's people like this writer that typically ignore the mental health issues of men and act as though men are perfect and men are what women should be like and all that sense. But there are a lot of men that are tortured souls, just like there are women and children. And that is something that is often ignored in our society. I mean, the suicide rate of men versus women, it is higher in men. That is a fact. There are a lot of people that deal with a lot of shit, and men are meant to hide those things. They're taught to hide those things. So who's to say that some of these method actors aren't expressing something that they can express in their daily life? Being an actor gives them the opportunity to put like some of their own pain in a character that is supposed to feel pain. I think that's pretty fair to say. I mean, James Dean, for example, he lost his mother at like 8 or 9 years old to cancer, and that was the most important person in his life. The very person that instilled his love of artistry in general. And then his father was always like in and out of his life, mostly out of his life. And I think that James really held a lot of that pain on his shoulders, and it really did show in his acting, especially when you watch James Dean's first film, East of Eden, where he's doing everything possible in his power to try and earn his father's love, and it's so touching. His acting really does show this pain in trying to earn that, and it really does make you sad when you watch that film. And it's also a similar situation in Rebel Without a Cause, where Jim is just trying to get his father to be the man that he needs him to be, somebody that he can learn from. And the whole movie goes about like basically getting his father to be that person that he can look up to, instead of someone that's constantly trampled on and basically not taken seriously. Of course, one doesn't have to suffer to unlock the creativity of expression or to legitimize their work. Though, look at cinema and you'd be forgiven for thinking otherwise. In the pursuit of accessing a deeper truth to their performance, the likes of Daniel Day-Lewis demanded to be spoon-fed while playing a disabled man in My Left Foot. Jim Carrey tormented the whole set of The Man on the Moon under the pretense of being possessed by Andy Kaufman, and Shia LaBeouf refused to shower on set of Fury. It sounds like to me you're blaming method acting for something that has nothing to do with method acting. Honestly, this sounds like people who are just dicks. And Hollywood has a problem with thinking that they can get away with being dick faces and there's no consequences for it, because mostly there aren't consequences for it. I mean, if people want to act like that, then um they should be held to account. Like in real life, like real people, everyday people, if they do stupid things, most of the time they're held accountable. And then the ones that do go viral and whatever, they aren't really held to account. I mean, look at Gorilla Glue Girl. She decided to put Gorilla Glue in her hair and was paid a fuck ton of money for doing it. I mean, this is the society that Hollywood has created, where people can get attention for doing crazy shit. And look, like these people are able to do this crazy shit and get attention for it. That's not a method acting problem. Gorilla Glue Girl putting Gorilla Glue in her hair is not a method acting problem. The same way that all these actors you listed being clowns is not a method acting problem. It's a behavioral issue, and Hollywood has a lot of those issues. And until it's basically called out and stomped out, I mean, there's really nothing to complain about when it comes to method acting. This is a stupid argument. Actors in modern day love getting little people to do their bullshit bidding for them. I mean, that's constantly what happens. I mean, one great thing, and I keep talking about James Dean because he is my favorite actor of all time, arguably. But James Dean, he would never treat little people like shit. If you talk to anybody or if you heard accounts from people that were around the cast on the set of Giant in Texas, they would say that James Dean was absolutely a doll to regular average people. Like, he never treated small people like shit. Everyday average people, he never treated them poorly. The people that he would treat poorly were his peers and people that were like above him, like a director, the industry leaders. He would constantly go after them. He was the type of guy that would attack upward. And actors now, they basically just want to be a part of the club, so they'll treat the big wigs, like nice, because a lot of them don't really have any true skills. Like they're not James Dean level of acting. Like people respected James Dean's level of acting because he was the real deal. And even those like higher ups that fucking hated him. And a lot of people did hate James Dean, especially like higher up Hollywood. But these people now, all they can attack is the little people because they're extremely replaceable. That's just the truth. A lot of them are fucking replaceable, and it's not even just the method actors that act like dicks. You're just calling out method actors who act like dicks in some instances, and that's stupid because there are a lot of Hollywood actors that don't do method acting, they don't know how to do it, and they're still pieces of shit. There are countless such stories throughout contemporary cinema that include the likes of Gary Oldman, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Tom Hanks, with actors seemingly trying to one up each other in the pursuit of critical adoration and the coveted Best Actors Academy Award. Regardless of any of these performances being any good, such actors are consistently favored by award shows who feel the pain and suffering equate to a significant acting achievement. Well, yeah, they're held to high regard because at least they're doing something interesting and something that feels unique. Whereas the average Hollywood actor in modern day is just a replaceable piece of wood. They're a plank. Yes, Plank from Ed and Nettie. That's literally how their acting is and feels. And they're constantly praised for being a plank. That's all I could say about that. And like I said before, there are plenty of actors who do not method act that are pieces of shit. So call out all of Hollywood, not method acting, not a type of acting. All of Hollywood is trashy shit now. Stop making bullshit excuses. I'm so bored of it. And to be honest with you, I'm just done reading this fucking article. It's just complete bullshit. A type of acting is not the problem in Hollywood. It is the atmosphere, the culture, the child diddling that a lot of these people in these circles love. It is the fact that there is an extreme lack of talent in Hollywood. I think one of the two biggest issues in Hollywood right now, besides the actors themselves, is one, something that this writer of this article is directly responsible for, which is actual writing in film. And the other issue is directing in film. I think these are the two biggest issues right now. None of these writers and directors can do anything even remotely interesting these days. I really feel as though a lot of these people want to dumb down society to accept less and be okay with it. Method acting is one of those things where the actors, they really do push where they're going in terms of a feeling, an emotion, or like a just things like that in general. Like they are the ones that are actually pushing for something unique and different. I think that this writer, who also writes Hollywood film, wants to essentially dumb down our expectations by hopefully eliminating the concept of method acting. What he's talking about here isn't really method acting. You know, Shia LaBeouf not showering is not really method acting. It's just he's a pig. That's really what it is. And the culture of Hollywood is totally fine with this shit. And that's a Hollywood problem. It's not a method acting problem. So fuck out of here with this article. It really pissed me off. Honestly, I think that there's some serious problems in Hollywood that really do need to be addressed, and this is not one of them. We've come to the point where acting is so dumbed down that most of these actors don't even need to be in the same room with each other. They don't even need to be on set for a lot of this shit. Most of it is like done with CGI. I mean, take for example MCU movies. They don't I'm sure they don't spend nearly as much time with their co-stars as like films did back in the day where you didn't have CGI to fill in all this other extra shit. I mean, there are countless pictures with James Dean and Elizabeth Taylor just hanging out around set or just in the area of Texas while they were filming Giant. And it really does go to show in the film itself that they did have a lot of chemistry together. And the same thing with Rock Hudson and Elizabeth Taylor while they were filming Giant. They would have like lunch and shit at their house, like in the backyard, just chilling and getting to know each other. And despite Rock Hudson being gay, I mean, the fact that they actually spent that time together really goes to show their chemistry on set together. It really does show, like, trying to act like normal human beings together behind the scenes really does help on screen chemistry. There's a lot of actors now that they get together in a film and they have no chemistry at all, despite being love interests and all that shit. Like, it is really bad. Like, these people are so fucking hollow. They have no idea how to be normal people. And it really does show on screen now more than ever. And it's just getting worse. And with terrible writing and directing on top of it, no wonder why there's a shit ton of remakes and all this other stuff. They need every edge they can get in trying to sell their piece of shit movies. But guys, let me know what you think is the biggest issue going on in Hollywood now that really does affect the quality of film in modern day. If you can, guys, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me over on Twitter if you want to continue the conversation. With all that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.